Okay, we're back for part 4.4, and now that we've reconvened, we can once again start recording. And here we are at the what's this place called?
This is Albrook, I think.
Owz's house, yeah. This is the Owz's house and they figure out that the opera isn't going to go as planned. Person. So right now we're about to start the opera scene, and the opera scene is remembered as being one of the high points of this game. Even if it doesn't make, all that much sense, and Fi's not really in the mood for the rant, but
it's not exactly that the opera doesn't make sense. Here's the thing. This whole plan revolves around the fact that Celes looks exactly like Maria. To the point that a lot of people that would call themselves fans of Maria the opera singer mistake Celes for Maria. So, okay, that's a pretty big coincidence if you ask me, but right, let's roll with it. But then there's the fact that... Alright, here's the thing. Imagine there's this huge rock concert, and the guitarist goes missing because the guy is drunk or whatever, and everybody is panicking, and ultimately they decide to ask one of the roadies to fill in for the guitarist, and the show is saved. This is actually quite a common thing to happen, because, well, sometimes the members of a band or whatever, they might go missing. But this is just fine and dandy if we're talking about something, I'm not gonna say easy to play, but something as something like rock, something like metal, something like jazz. This situation can never happen in an opera. If one of the if one of the singers goes missing, there's no way they can find a replacement in a matter of hours. Like, it's impossible. Because...
Wouldn't they have an understudy?
I'm sorry?
Wouldn't they have an understudy?
Well, but the thing is...
The person they usually train, as in, like in musicals, they normally have a backup singer.
But no, it doesn't work like that. Because an opera role is a very specialized thing. You have to study for weeks upon weeks in order to be eligible to play the role. That's precisely why the concept of a prima donna came into prominence, because a prima donna is a woman that considers herself vital for something, and she's right. The show cannot go on if the prima donna is missing. Why? Because nobody can fill in for her. If she's not there, the show is dead. This is opera. If one of the singers goes missing, the show simply cannot go on. Alright, keeping this in mind, you guys notice immediately that it takes about 30 seconds for people to come up with the idea of hiring Celes to play the role of Maria, and she accepts, and she goes like, "Oh, I'm a general, not some opera floozy."
I'm not some kind of floozy.
But she accepts in the end, and the impresario is like, yeah, that's gonna work. It's fine by me, which is of course stupid.
I think we can.
But here's the thing. I
think we can conclude that she's got some sort of secret opera habit that she indulges.
Yep, that's
she won't
precisely my point.
To keep up her image of a tough general.
Yep, Sansan, you got it. That's exactly my point. The only way this scene makes any amount of sense is if we accept the fact that Celes and Maria are the same person. There's no other plausible explanation. No other way of explaining how convenient the fact is that these guys ran into a general who happened to know about opera. So yeah, that was basically, it wasn't exactly a rant. This is supposed to be a theory, in the sense that it takes every fact we know, and we come up with an explanation for this.
It probably makes more sense than the Renoa is ultimately
absolutely,
theory.
There's no comparison. The thing is, it's the only way. It's literally the only way of explaining how Celis turned out to be, you know, an opera singer. All of a sudden, Celis and Maria are the same person. I know this is fan wankery, but I'm convinced this is it's actually a very good explanation, and the only one that makes sense. So yeah, that was it. It wasn't exactly a rant. It was more of some fan
or possibly the
theory.
Entire audience just doesn't know anything about opera.
Or maybe this is a bad opera.
Yeah, it's not exactly a good opera by real-life standards. But, alright, but now that I've said my bit, I'm going to say that I love this scene. The first time I played Final Fantasy VI, back when it was called Final Fantasy III, that was more than 10 years ago, because I was 14. And I remember having been blown away by this scene, because I had never seen anything like it. Up to that point, I had been playing games like, you know, platformers, perhaps some beat 'em up, and all of a sudden I ran into a game that featured an opera. It was a turning point in my history as a gamer.
I can't think of, like, they could have just not shown the opera. They could have just skipped by it, have Setzer just take Celius in the first 5 seconds of it. But they did show it, which, you know, is a big... It's a pretty big thing. Even if this... I mean, like, they showed it, and it's just... it's not relevant to the story in any way, and yet they still showed it. So it just... And yet it's, you know, it's still one of the best parts of the game. It's never brought up again. It's... but it's still pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think, in the words of the nostalgia critic, this is a perfect example of a big-lipped alligator moment. That moment that comes... these are his words. Right the fuck out of nowhere. Is never mentioned again or brought up again. It has little to no relevance to the main story. And yet, this moment...
And everyone remembers it.
And everyone remembers it, exactly. But this is an example, this is a weird example.
Have you ever seen...
It's a good big-lipped alligator moment. It's beautiful.
Have you seen the Mano artwork for it? It's really quite something as well. Very hectic in the way Mano's work is, and the colours are a lot stronger.
Oh yes.
We probably should make it a featured image if we haven't already.
I think we have. It's actually the cover of the Final Fantasy VI Grand Finale arrangement album.
Oh, well, speaking of the
best
opera,
music sounds the time could buy.
You know, speaking of the opera, you can actually get a game over during the scene. If you fail this 4 times in a row...
If you botch the opera 3 times, the game is over.
But it's actually... Yeah, it's 4 times, and you get a wonderful message that says you don't have enough acting talent to impress your own mama, and it goes the game over. It's...
Because, you know, failing twice, or even 3 times in an opera is alright. You're allowed 3 mess-ups, and then 4th time the show's over.
Yeah, I don't know.
And who cares about the end of the world? You got to sing an opera.
Exactly. Yeah. the greatest cataclysm in the history of the world, you can't stop it because you flunked your opera. I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah.
Actually, you know, the idea of Celes being good at opera kind of reminds me of sort of a modern Major General song. Except I presume she's good at being a general as well. You know the modern Major General song about how he's good at everything. When does a general learn about this?
Just a little tidbit for anyone who doesn't know. I actually screwed this up the first time because I forgot that you need to walk up to the balcony at the end, and I just could have walked around. And when I'm recording this, I don't have any sound, so I have no idea what the sound cues are. So I just kind of... instead of going, I just went over there for some reason, because I forgot that you had to go up to the top here. And I screwed it up the first time, which is something no one else should ever do, because this is a very, very easy sequence. And if you screw it up, it kind of ruins the mood. Not much to say, it's a really nice sequence.
I happen to think if you were just walking around on stage and to counterpoint phase ran earlier, if you was just walking around stage, mess up 4 times, game over, I think it'd be a little more realistic to add to pose the theory that Celeste is in fact not Maria.
Yeah. Well, I guess the fact that if she does it in the first try, then she is Maria, but if you're the person like me who screws it up, then she's not.
So it's open to interpretation then.
Yeah.
What is this? Some sort of quantum effect where she's both Maria and not at the same time?
Under observation, she's Maria, but when not observed, she's Celeste.
Your experience may vary.
Actual results may vary.
I know there's more details at the article, but I do remember that the way they synthesized the voices for each singer was, I think it was the first time for a Super Nintendo, for a SNES game to simulate human voices. This game was the first one to do that. I'm probably going to be corrected, but I think it was. It had to do with some... hang on. Oh, well, whatever. It's on the article, but this game was one of the first, if not the first game to feature something that resembled a human voice. I know it sounds dated now, but back in its day, the way Maria, or Celis, sang the aria, was actually a technical achievement. It had never been done before.
Yeah,
So, a question. If they... Oh, sorry.
You can go on.
You want to go?
You can go on.
Yeah, if they remade Final Fantasy VI for, say, the PlayStation 3 or something more modern like that, how would you like to see the opera scene done? Would you like to live voices?
Absolutely. I would bring I don't know, Anna Netrebko to sing Maria's part, and I don't know, Rolando Villazon to sing Draco's part, and perhaps we. Or I'm gonna start rambling about operas, but never mind. But yeah, absolutely, they should hire actual opera singers to perform this scene.
That would be amazing.
That
for
said,
finale?
I find it highly unlikely that they would actually do it. It'd be just too awesome.
I'm kind of just imagining what the equivalent would be now is if they got some Vocaloids to do it rather than simply sing the voice in square, which is, no, I don't think it would quite work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a bit afraid about it being remade, because, yeah, the opera scene might get butchered.
Love that.
Oh yeah, by the way, we skipped over the fact that Ultros is planning a revenge against the party members. It's funny that if you bring a party of Locke, Celeste, Cyan, and Gao, Ultros would be getting revenge on 4 people he's never met before.
Okay.
I mean, it's just funny. I kind of wanted to do that just because it would be funny, but oh, this is also one of my favorite lines in the entire game. It's like it take me exactly 5 minutes to try
Exactly.
it.
This guy has such a precise way of measuring his own strength that he can tell you, the player, how long he's going to take.
And we end on we end on a cliffhanger.
Oh.
I'm kind of glad that this isn't realistic, because if this was in real life and you started walking around and talking in an opera, people would be shushing
you'd be
you.
kicked
In
out.
the world of Final Fantasy VI, they probably stab you. It's just like, quiet now, random person stab. Then they'll be quiet.
Exactly. The boss fight.
My first
the
playthrough
opera's
of this
knob.
game. This is the only part of the game where I actually got stuck because I didn't know how to exit the theater and talk to Celeste.
Oh yeah, it's weird because it's like this diagonal thing down, and you have to like move.
Yeah, it's like you never walk diagonal. You got 4 directions. Diagonal is not one of them.
You're absolutely right. I never noticed that. But yeah, this is the only instance in the game in which you walk diagonally.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Well, but I guess that's the end of the video. This was Scathe Mode.
This is fighting.
This is Deadly Slash Sword.
So this is Yuncho-san.
Alright, and see you next time.
Hang on, I'm gonna try one last time. Yuencho-san.
Close enough.
No? Still not good enough?
No.
Right.
I'll teach you properly next time.
Alright. You can try it then.